Good afternoon and welcome to members of the media, our management team from Omnia Group, BME, our stakeholders, media, and our colleagues from Hypex Bio. Welcome to an event where we will showcase our partnership with Hypex Bio and talk to you about the innovation and the new technologies we've been working on as a group. Before we start, safety is one of our key values, and I just wanted to provide a safety share for a second. All of us travel on roads every day from one place to another, some of us on business, some of us privately. And what we do know is that the roads are a fairly dangerous place. We encourage our people, we encourage ourselves to be alert when traveling and to ensure that we are attentive to what is happening around us. And as part of our safety share as the Omnia Group, which we do to remind our people about the important value of safety, can I remind all of you listening to this event today to focus on being attentive when driving, and should you see things changing around you, be alert to make the necessary changes to stay safe. Omnia, our purpose is something that's very close to our heart. We've got three core businesses: Protea, our agriculture business, and our mining business. And each business is focused on innovating to enhance life and together creating a greener future of people across South Africa and across the African continent. In our agriculture business, we are focused on food security, ensuring that the world's people can be fed. We know that food is an important source of sustenance, but it's also agriculture is an important source of livelihoods and economic growth. And then finally, our third business, our BME business, is focused on mineral extraction, a business that is there to ensure that important minerals that sustain life is available, but also that the mining segment, which is a large contributor to economic growth rates across the world, provides livelihoods, provides jobs, and provides the economic momentum that is needed in various parts of the world. Today, we'd like to showcase some of our innovation, specifically in our mining business, showcase our innovation and our partnership with Hypex Bio. And this is a business that's in the forefront of leading the change in the explosives industry. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Thomas Gustafson. He's the CEO of Hypex Bio. Thomas, thank you for making the time to be with us here in Johannesburg. Thank you for making the trip all the way from Sweden. We welcome you. Make yourself at home, and we're going to hand over to you to do a presentation to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Seeland, for that very, very warm welcome. And I'm happy to be here in Johannesburg in the Omnia head office building to talk about Hypex Bio. So my name is Thomas. I'm currently the CEO of Hypex Bio Explosives Technology. I am a Swede. I live in Stockholm, Sweden, which is where we have started the development of Hypex Bio. So I will share a couple of slides with this group and start off the introduction into this panel discussion. So Hypex Bio is a commercial explosives platform. It's been developed by my team and myself in Sweden and is completely focused around ESG. The technology that we have today is intended to solve the very well-defined environmental and operational problems arising from current nitrate-based technology, and it's very aligned with the industry agenda, the mining industry agenda of becoming more sustainable. And furthermore, it's very much aligned with the vision of Omnia to become more sustainable. The emulsion technology that we have today is operationally non-disruptive. It can be used in the same way as we use explosives today. It can be charged into the same type of drill holes, the same patterns, using the same procedures as we have today. And today we have an indication that we are outperforming traditional technology in Scandinavia. We are currently in commercial production in Scandinavia. We are operating a couple of plants in Norway and Sweden, and we are supplying mining industry, mainly underground mining, but also the construction industry. So this is proven technology. The platform itself encompasses production plants and process equipment, such as delivery systems, and also the chemical platform that we need to produce this technology. Now, if we dig in a little bit into the problem statement, we can say that we are categorizing the main problems of the industry into three different categories. One is toxic detonation gases and water pollutants. So when you detonate the current technologies, you get NOx gas, toxic gases in the post-detonation fume, and you get ammonia, all of them toxic to human nature. Furthermore, you pollute the water systems in and around the mine sites you operate, which has a tremendous impact on the societies connected into the mining environment. Furthermore, the nitrate salts and the base materials used in these explosives are very carbon intensive and they emit a lot of GHG. So by using explosives, the emission profile of the mining industry is quite tremendous. And the third category is supply chain vulnerability. Today, the global mining industry is heavily dependent on explosives. Without explosives, we cannot run mining. And all of those explosives are depending on the production and delivery capability of nitrate salts. So that's a very strong dependency. So to resolve this issue, what we have done is that we have taken the nitrates out of this equation and replaced it by hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is water with an extra oxygen atom, H2O2. And production of hydrogen peroxide, at least in Scandinavia and Northern Europe, is extremely energy efficient. Today, the peroxide we use is produced by using hydroelectricity, which means that the carbon footprint is very limited, it's very small. Furthermore, by not having any nitrates or ammonia in the compositions, we eliminate the nitrate problems. We do not have any NOx gas, we do not have any ammonia, nor any nitrate or ammonia leaching in the mine water. And we're not replacing it by anything that is worse. We are replacing it with water and oxygen, things that we can manage. And because we are working with hydrogen peroxide, a chemical that is completely disconnected from the supply chain and manufacturing chain of ammonium nitrate, we are offering an alternative to the industry, an alternative that hasn't been available until today. This adds tremendous value to the mining industry. The problems are well defined and have been well defined since the start of the nitrate salt explosive base in the 50s and 60s. We can reduce the ventilation time for underground mining. We can mitigate the cost, CAPEX and OPEX cost for building nitrate and ammonia cleaning plants. And furthermore, most importantly, we can affect the health profile and the risk these miners take when they're operating in these dangerous and toxic environments. So we also align with the green agenda of the mining industry in terms of emissions, both Scope 3 and Scope 1. We can assist the mining industry in becoming more sustainable by removing a lot of these pollutions that they have in their supply of raw materials today. And also should be mentioned that water treatment is a very big part of the licensing of the mines. Dealing with water, how that affects local communities, upstream and downstream, is a crucial part in legislative processes, environmental processes for the mining industry. By removing that component, we can assist mine to become more effective and to grow, which we need for the green transition. We need more metals, not less. This is extremely important. This is proven technology. We are in production today. We know how categorize the profile of the emulsion. We know how to produce it, we know how to deliver it, and we know how to charge it in rock. We are operating numerous construction and mining projects in Scandinavia. We are aiming to grow this technology throughout Northern Europe, and with the help of BME and other international partners, implement this technology into the larger mining ecosystem of the world. We have in-house capabilities in manufacturing these process equipment, these plants and delivery units, and we have in-house capability of dealing with the chemistry, producing the required chemicals, and together with our support and the know-how of BME, we have an excellent platform of scaling this. The reason I'm in this room today and being a part of this discussion is because I fit in very well in not only the outspoken values of Omnia, but also the true values of Omnia, which I find in the partnership and the everyday discussions I have with the various team members of this organization. The custodianship that BME has for their ongoing operations, their skill capabilities of taking technology to market, making sure it happens in a safe, consistent, and reliable way, is one of the things that impressed me and made this partnership, let's say, possible. So I believe with the custodianship, the know-how, the drive, vision of Omnia and BME, together with our innovative solutions, we can together secure the scale up of this technology and assist the mining industry to become more green. So I will hand over to the next speaker. This is the end of my presentation. So Charmaine, please go ahead.
Super, thank you. Thank you so much, Thomas. Let's just, let's see if all our panelists are here. Avu, are you around?
Confirmed, Charmaine. I hope my audio is coming through okay.
There we go. There you go. Okay. Thank you. Thanks to the members of the media who have joined us today. We've got a bit of a panel discussion for you, and we'd love you to ask some questions. So please feel free at the end of our discussion, raise your hands, ask your questions. We'd really love to engage. Let me quickly introduce our panel to you today. Some of you would know them. Ralph Henniker. The good thing about Teams is you can always see people's names. Ralph Henniker, who is the Managing Director of BME. Thomas Gustafsson, who you've just heard from, CEO of Hypex Bio. Avarengwi Nengovela, who is both the CEO of Coltech, but who also has extensive experience in the ESG and climate space developed over many years. So he'll bring that to our discussion. And then Nishan Harris Parsad, who is the General Manager of BME and who really has a focus on innovation. So Ralph, I'm going to start with you, if I may. And I think we can take the introductory slide down. If we could just talk through very quickly, this global trend towards decarbonization and ESG, what has really driven Omnia and BME's approach to ESG and carbonization? And can you give some context as to where exactly in that value chain your impact is the greatest?
Yes, thank you, Charmaine, and certainly good afternoon to all, and thanks for the question. We stand true to our purpose. So what Seelan has already mentioned in the introductory, they are innovating to enhance life, together creating a greener future. That really speaks to the ESG drive of the industry in which we play. We secure food, we treat water, and we liberate minerals, as Seelan was saying. So why the ESG drive? It is really, firstly, for us, because it is the right thing to do. We subscribe to many industry standards like responsible care and so forth. So inherently, our company drives to be better social partners to the mining industry and the general industry. Yes, there are industry and general market drives to ESG, and yes, we need enablers to contribute and stay relevant to the mining industry and the ambitions and ESG targets that are set, both from an environmental and social perspective. But ultimately, it is about the entire ecosystem of mining. If we just turn our heads a little bit to the mining sector, it is that our customers do demand from us to play into their ambitions to achieve certain results in decarbonization, targets that are set to 2030, 2040, and beyond, as we need to keep our service providers in that ecosystem relevant to ESG targets too. So this is an ecosystem of targets and ambitions that we need to adhere and play into. Omnia and BME plays in the following initiatives, and I'm not going to list them by order of importance, but we are currently contributing by renewable energy. So some of our plants have got solar capabilities. Our plants are automated and so forth, both on the Omnia side as well as on the BME side. We play a huge part in the circular economy space, reverse osmosis, recycling of water, waste management of our products that we produce, and so the waste is then reproduced until there is no more waste. And then maybe very importantly, our used oil ability. We do use used oil in our emulsion formulations, And for the interest sake of the panel, but also the audience, is that I'm not sure that you know that 1 liter of used oil can contaminate up to 1 million liters of pure water. And we collect something like 30 million liters of used oil and use that oil per annum. So it's a huge amount of water that we do save. But the main two contributors to decarbonization, and Thomas has alluded to that a little bit, is fuel emissions on the mines on the one side and explosives detonation emissions on the other. Now, how do we address that? Through blast optimization, number one, digitization, real-time reporting, data collection and storage, to data mining, trend analysis, and ultimately predictability of blast outcomes. We can optimize blast outcomes, which has a direct impact on fuel emissions when it comes to loading, hauling, and milling in the plant and so forth. The more you optimize your blasting, the smaller the mining cycle and the less emissions into the atmosphere. That is the one part that we address quite successfully. The other part, the explosives detonation emissions, is being addressed by Thomas and Hypex Bio by using non-nitrous explosives technology and using that successfully in future. So with those two contributions, I think we have the biggest impact on the mining industry going forward.
Thanks, Ralph. Can I turn to you, Avu, and just ask you, is decarbonization, sustainability possible in the mining industry? Bringing your industry hat on here.
No, thank you, Charmaine, and good afternoon to everyone. In the 20 years that I've been mining, or I've been in mining, sustainability has always been baked into how mining operations operate. A part of it is that the regulators have always driven environmental compliance. So to get your mining license, you needed to make sure, and you still do need to make sure, that you are looking after the environment, but you also need to operate in ways that secure your social license to operate. So when we think about sustainability in the mining sector, for me, it's not a case of whether the sector can get there, but rather the role that the sector needs to play in leading the sustainability conversation, because we have for many, many years been leaders in that space. The decarbonization aspect is a complex one, and it's an issue that I think globally, not only the mining sector, but it's an issue that we are grappling with as industry. But we have seen, again, the mining sector embracing the green energy transition by implementing a few renewable energy projects. And a good example is the Seriti project in the Mpumalanga province. And that, again, is an example of a sector that's saying, for us to deal with our scope 1 and scope 2 emissions, it's important that we invest in green energy so that we can deal with, I mean, if you take scope 1 and 2, you're talking about 7% of global GHG emissions. So the industry that does recognize its role to lower that. And if you add scope 3 emissions to that, then you find yourself around 28%. So it's quite significant. If the mining sector, and it's something that we are already starting to see, electrifies its mining fleet, the impact of that on your scope 1 emissions goes up to about 50%. And we are seeing mining players now replacing or starting to replace their diesel-powered fleet with EVs. So can the mining industry truly be sustainable and decarbonize? All indications in the sector are that we are actually doing that. And from a sustainability perspective, we actually need to take a leadership role, because it's a space that we've been operating in for many decades. Thank you, Shami.
Thanks, Avu. Nishan, maybe I could just turn to you. Ralph mentioned some of the innovations. He went through a whole list of them, but maybe you could spotlight one or two where BME is really making a difference.
Hi, everyone. Well, Charmaine, where do I start with this one? So, as we've alluded to previously, innovation stems from within our purpose and is ingrained in our DNA. You see, since our origin nearly 40 years ago or so, we've been deliberate in the innovative chemistry of our dual nitrate emulsion system, which our system ensures a robust and highly stable emulsion product. So this chemistry also provides a couple of other benefits to our customers as well. And these include, as Ralph alluded earlier, confidence in blasting. Another aspect is extended sleep times. And also something we touched on earlier through Thomas's presentation is a valuable environmental benefit that minimizes nitrate leaching, which, as miners know, is a common pain point in some mines. And BME's Innovex emulsion system presents this distinct value add that responds to providing the industry with safe and sustainable product solutions. That's on the emulsion side. Additionally, our innovative electronic initiation system, the Access system, has been developed by our very own mining and electronic engineers who understand blasting and understand mine engineering. See, this has allowed us to develop a premium initiation system that follows on from the modernizations and improvements that mines require. See, BME's Access initiation system has been designed with superior benefits that target safety, accuracy, precision, environmental and operational efficiency. So these are just two of the innovation I thought I'd spotlight, but it's important to know that both of these innovations have already unlocked new efficiencies in the mining value chain, whilst further reducing our environmental footprint and delivering benefits in ESG and sustainability through technology.
Thanks, Nishan. Thomas, you alluded in your presentation to the fact that globally ESG is a very big driver. How much of that ESG drive was actually a pivot, an impetus for Hypex Bio?
Well, thank you, Charmaine, and thank you to the previous speakers. So obviously, being an ESG-focused explosives platform, ESG is paramount and it's been fundamental drive of this. But I think it's much wider than that. So ESG is carbon emissions, it's dealing with the societies and also dealing with the workforce that come into contact with these chemicals day in, day out. So that's been a very, very strong drive to make that better. But I will also say it's a crucial moral position as well. For me, my team and the core team that has developed this, we put in a lot of hard work. And to motivate us to do this, we need to do something that feels right. So commercially, we're very aligned with the green impetus of the mining industry. It's not a question if the mining industry can go green, they must go green, right? We need to work together to give them the solutions. That's out of the question from my side. But it's also about the journey. How do we come there? How do we take the technology from today and assist the mining industry with that transition? How do we migrate? And what we have obviously realized very early on that the commercial aspects are already there, the business is there. But an equally important aspect in doing this and a driver for us is we're doing something that feels right. I have children. Many of my colleagues have children, and we are very concerned about the global environment and the one planet idea. And I want to be able to look my children in the eye in 20 years when they have to deal with the outfall of our generations of potentially mistakes and misgivings. And I want to be able to tell them that at least we tried, we did something. Now, I'd be damned if we don't succeed with this, because we will have a tremendous impact on the mining industry. As a previous speaker said, the mining industry stands for a lot of those emissions. And the mining industry want to change. They want to change, but some of them don't know how. So it's our job to allow that, both from a commercial perspective, but also from a moral perspective. So that's my position on that.
Thanks, and it's one I think that we share. Avu, You spoke about the leadership position and the leadership role that mining has taken in many of these ESG performance. Can you just talk a little bit from your background, particularly Caltech, but broadly as well, the importance of innovation and actually the importance of collaboration of innovation? I mean, it's quite unusual to have such a degree of innovation.
No, thank you, Charmaine. And from both a Caltech perspective, but also from the perspective of mining in general, collaboration is central to the work that we do. But Caltech is supported or was founded by government in the form of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, the mining sector, as well as academia. In its founding, there was a clear recognition that in order to solve real-world issues, industry will need to come together with the academic world so that we can advance applied research. And we continue to see that to this day. Just listening to the technology that BME is advancing and the work that Hypex Bio has been able to do, that work requires collaboration. You speak of innovation, which is something that follows research and development work, which is something that the coal mining sector is deeply focusing on. And one clear technology that comes to mind is the carbon capture, utilization, and storage. Because as a sector, we recognize that the CO2 that's already in the atmosphere does need to be captured. But it's a technology that's not easy to solve. But we are of the view that through proper collaboration with our different industry partners, we should ultimately be able to find a solution to removing the carbon that's in the atmosphere. So collaboration is absolutely key. Without that, we really cannot advance as quickly as we need to.
And Nishan, you've spoken in the past about collaboration with various parties, but also just about the R&D function within BME itself. I mean, how does BME drive this? How do you manage that R&D and make it central to your business?
So Abu talked about innovation and collaboration and the synergy between them, and that's so true. But I'd like to position that question this way. So there's an old proverb that says that vision without action is a daydream, while action without vision is a nightmare. And for mining companies, this relationship between action and vision is driven by the need for delivering meaningful change, especially in a complex mining value chain. And for forward-thinking mining solutions providers like BME that understand mining pain points, environmental challenges, and technical conundrums experienced at the face, we feel it is a duty of care to continuously deliver innovative solutions and expansive R&D that evolves as technology and best practices evolve. See, at BME, our commitment is to generate value that is tangible, measurable, and consistent, a point that Ralph raised earlier. And so whether it's in our products that deliver improved energy efficiencies and production performance, or to our dedicated house of developers and engineers and specialists that drive innovative solutions which create maximum value for our customers. So we use a partnered approach that uses technology, expertise, and demonstrable results so that vision and action can work together.
Yeah, and if you talk about this innovation, Ralph, you were telling me not so long ago that there has actually been very little change, very little innovation in explosive technology over the last 100 years. Do you want to talk to us about that?
Very interesting comment that I made. Very interesting question. Thanks for that, Charmaine. And I think my colleagues on the panel have said a lot and said it all. I think collaboration between service providers in the mining industry is key, and all stakeholders in the mining industry is key. Of course, one should not generalize, number one, but possibly rather compare to other industries in taking that statement into some form of context, especially not that much on the mining side, but more on the explosive side. With a few examples, the explosives business over 150 years in history has really gone through 2 or 3 fundamental changes, from ANFO, ammonium nitrate fuel oil, to water gels, emulsions, to packaged to pumpable emulsions, and that's where it stops. And guess what? The whole industry still uses one or the other of those. The same with the initiating systems. We went from cap fuse to non-electrics, electric, and now, as Nishan mentioned, the electronic detonators. And guess what? The whole industry is still using some of those components also. What has changed is a little bit on the fundamentals and the specifications on the electronic system. Some are safer, some are more accurate, but fundamentally, not much has changed from a product perspective. If one then looks from a technology side or digital process optimization and so forth, what we've seen is a succinct acceleration of development pre-COVID. COVID hit, and then after COVID, there was a realization of, let us move back to basics a little bit. Supply chain security, safety, quality of product, trust in people, and so forth. And it's only now, almost 4 or 5 years after COVID, that we see this technology accelerating once again. So it is a bit, it's a bit sluggish, but it is something like Hypex now, and that's the next type of level. As far as Hypex is concerned, there's huge excitement. It's a perfect fit. Hypex brings the technology, we bring the market, as Thomas was saying, but more so, I think what both Thomas and Nishan were saying, the new technology is an absolute necessity to the. So it's not a good to have, or we're developing something novel and new. It's a necessity of the market. If you want to achieve something in the ESG space, then that's what you need to do. And I just want to thank Thomas for his kind words as well. People ask us why a BME collaboration with Hypex Bio, other than the hard grounds of groundbreaking, taking us to the next level, technology and so forth. We see a similar culture, we see a similar background. We see, and I specifically see, I've been in this industry for almost 40 years now, a similarity of entrepreneurship that we embarked on as BME with bringing cold emulsion technology to the African continent. And how we did it from an entrepreneurship perspective is very similar to what Thomas is doing today. So we're very complementary ultimately, and we also see Hypex as a novel addition to our already very strong and sustainable value proposition.
Thanks, Ralph. Thomas, you were speaking earlier about the fact that you felt that the mining industry actually wanted some of these changes. How difficult has it been to get this innovation off the ground? And have you had to work very hard to convince the industry to adopt this?
Well, thank you so much for that question. And then I also like to thank Ralph for those very kind words. I'm always blushing here. So, but back to that question. Yes, we were working very, very hard, but as Ralph also said, it's difficult to generalize. The industry is vast. It's a global industry. It's many different mines. And in my experience, every mine have their own culture. Every mining organization get things done in different ways. I've been extremely fortunate to be in a country, in a territory where we have an extremely progressive and innovative mining industry. We've been collaborating with probably the largest mining group in Europe, Boliden Mines. But it hasn't been easy. We had to prove step by step the concept to them, but their ability to realize what we're trying to achieve and giving us the platform to do a step-by-step testing process and verifying every step, mainly focused on safety, has allowed us to do this development. That being said, the challenges of taking this global to a larger mining industry is going to be tremendous, not only from a technical perspective, building factories, delivery systems, and regulatory approvals, but about culture. The lost their essence is conservative. For good reason. They're dealing with dangerous products. If they have something they understand and something that works, they don't like to change, which is completely understandable. So we will have to work very closely with the people at the face, at the bench, to explain what's in it for them, right? To convince them about the moral aspects. And it's not only that, we will also have to prove to the mining industry that we are not only sustainable from an ESG perspective, but also economically sustainable. I think from a business perspective, my vision and idea is that we can not only focus on sustainability, even if that is at our core, we also have to make things better. Blasting with Hypex Bio should give you better results in your mine, in your muck pile. It should perhaps give you an ability to expand your patterns and allow you to be sustainable. So just to summarize a very long monologue here, I would say it's both. You have a very natural skepticism, you have early adopters, and the early adopters are allowing us the first step of trialing and proving the concept. And I'm pretty sure that the hump of the skeptic mass will come along fairly soon.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm going to come back to you, Ralph, very quickly and just say, I mean, you had interest in the product. I think you have tier one customers all over the world. Are they interested? And what do you need to do as BME to bring this product to the market?
You said it, Charmaine. You know, we do have already quite a fundamental tier one customer base and relationships on a global scale. That obviously does help. I think Thomas is very humble. He hasn't spoken in this panel around his projects that have already succeeded, and all the interesting, mind-blowing projects that he's busy with in Europe, and tunneling under seas and under vast masses of water and so forth to achieve. I mean, it's an amazing story. I think what is most exciting, Charmaine, is that there is a certain push and pull in the market. It is not necessarily, the pull is actually stronger than the push. So it is really that our tier one customers are pulling us to the table. Come talk to us about what we hear you've got, and how you can help us find the ESG solutions and meet our targets in the 2030, 40, and 50 aspirations that they do have. Importantly, the willingness of both, and this is where the culture impact comes in again, the willingness of both BME and Hypex Bio together to collaborate and tailor-make the customer needs and find the tailor-made solution is what sets us apart and what will set us apart going forward. So we endeavor to support all the mines to achieve their targets by taking this technology forward.
Right, thank you. Nishan, Ralph mentioned some of the projects, the interesting other projects that Thomas is busy with. Can you share or give us a little bit of insight to some of the other interesting innovations that BME is currently working on?
Yeah, we'll have to be a bit careful with this question.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
well, BME has long evolved from offering fit-for-purpose products to offering innovative future-fit solutions that deliver on the pain points and the natural challenges that the industry faces, as I mentioned previously. And our innovations and our R&D are thus centered on progressing from this evolving base. And whether it be to innovate to improve safety in mining, or to innovate to deliver on sustainable solutions, or to innovate to support ESG drives, our focus is to deliver on these challenges with systems and solutions, which are invariably driving our pathway to autonomy and twin modeling. All of these technologies and R&D that we are working on are being integrated to deliver an ecosystem of solutions, creating maximum value through the value chain, mining value chain. And additionally, our commitment on delivering on sustainable blasting solutions involve partnerships with like-minded providers that expand our used oil value proposition with alternative and greener fuels. I'd also like to note that the efforts of our continual R&D is being extended beyond the mining bench and into the milling and comminution circuit, with products and services targeting improved yield, energy efficiencies, and safer operations. One of our panelists spoke about the ecosystem of mining, and we at BME provide an ecosystem of technologies for the mining industry.
Right, thanks, Nusam. Abu, one of the things that you've spoken about a lot is this progression, and we've heard it from various panelists as well, the progression of technology. Something I know that's very close to your heart is this just energy transition. It's something that's so often spoken about and so often misunderstood. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that fits in to the overall innovation and collaboration space?
Oh, great. Thank you, Charmaine. I was reflecting on something Thomas said, that in thinking about innovation, it's more than just about sustainability, but really about how to make things better. I must say I quite like that. The just energy transition within a South African context normally takes us to the coal mining regions of South Africa, and like thinking now of Emalahleni. The coal mining sector employs 96,000 people. The just energy transition simply means as we transition into the green energy space, we have to think about retraining the 96,000 people or so. But it's not only the 96,000 people, it's close to 500,000 people who directly and indirectly rely on the jobs that are generated by the coal mining sector. So from an R&D and innovation perspective, there are things that we've already started looking into. Coal is not only a commodity that can be used to generate energy. The research work that we've done now shows that in order for the world to decarbonize, there are critical minerals that are needed. Lithium is one of those. For your batteries, you need a lot of that. But critically, you also need rare earth elements. And we know from the research that we've done that the coal discards that we as a sector have been creating for the last 136 years actually contain rare earth elements. And there's perhaps an irony in that. There's more REEs in coal discards globally. It's about 50 million tons of REEs than there are in known virgin deposits. Yeah. So as we're thinking about the just energy transition within Emalahleni, there are opportunities for us through the same coal commodity to think about creating alternative economies. So on the one hand, it's the conversation on REEs. Yeah. On the other hand, it's a conversation on alternative uses of coal. We know that carbon can be used for advanced material, for graphene, for activated carbon, and these are materials that the world needs in addition to the energy.
And I guess just sorry to interrupt you there, but the energy transition is something, the just energy transition is something that applies across the mining sector. It's something that we should be considering at every stage of the project of mining, all sectors. Yeah.
No, 100%. So our role is to really find ways to create alternatives for those individuals. And I think with applied research, we believe we can get there.
And I guess this innovation will take us just another step closer. Thomas, I'm coming to you with my last question before I open it up to the media. And that is, just in summary, if people have spoken about Hypex Bio as a game changer. If that is the case, can you just kind of give us 1 or 2 points about why you think that is so?
So what do we mean by game changer? Normally, in my world, game changing means that we solve well-defined problems and we do it in a radical new way. So if we agree that the mining industry needs to be more sustainable, the game-changing component is that they need to maybe use different raw materials, then Hypex Bio is a game changer, because shifting to Hypex Bio, which will be hopefully not operationally disruptive, by changing the explosives, they can address some of their main focus targets. They can do that immediately. So it's an easy solution to address a big problem. That is a game changer. And then obviously everything else that we've been talking about, the operational climate for workers, the permitting process for the mines, because we need more metals, more minerals, not less, if we're going to succeed in other sectors. And allowing for a simplification in terms of permitting will maybe not solve, but significantly address the water issues that the mining industry have. And I also want to put some emphasis that, as Ralph said, the current explosive technology we have today has been developed for quite some time. So the understanding and know-how of those platforms the body of knowledge is very big. What we are doing with Hypex Bio is we're creating a completely new branch in technology. We don't really know what the end is. We have many open questions, and the amount of PhDs you can do in this technology is significant. So the technology platform we have solves well-defined problems today, which is paramount for the mining industry. That's a game-changing component. But we are creating a new, let's say, discipline in explosives technology, which can take us into the future with technologies of the future. We don't really know where that ends. So I hope that suffices.
Yeah, that's very, very exciting. Can I ask and see if there's any questions from any of the journalists that we've got online? You're very welcome to do that now. David, please will you go ahead?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
We can, David, thank you.
Okay, good news. I've got a question just on the business side of the whole piece, and I think there was a question, Charmaine, you posted just about sales progress. I mean, I know BME is very keen on selling HPE into West Africa and Africa in general. Just a bit more detail around that, please. Just what has the progress been, and if you can even quantify it, please.
Thanks. Ralph, I'm going to leave that to you, if I may.
Just for clarification, are we talking specifically Hypex Bio?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so we are currently still in the development phase. So we've got a exclusive distribution agreement signed with Hypex Bio for Canada, which includes some co-development projects. And then we've got a first right of refusal to other predetermined areas, global areas, and they do include massive mining areas per se. So where we are currently is we are not selling hydrogen peroxide products into the market as Thomas does in Europe. As I mentioned, he's got many successful projects and so forth. But what we do at this point is setting ourselves up as a global entry in the Canadian market. And that takes some stages to go through. So we're going through some regulatory formalizations, product approvals, plant building and infrastructure building to be ready by the timeline is about the end of the calendar year, first quarter 25, to be ready to go to market with this product.
Gotcha. Okay, and then just that first right of refusal on other areas, are there conditions attached to that, i.e. taking a greater equity stake in Hypex Bio?
No, not at this point. No conditions to that point.
Thomas, can I just ask you? I mean, are you a seller of your equity? If Omnia came looking.
Well, that's a very interesting question. Let me ask you like this. We have this massive rollout journey ahead of us. Our ambition is to transform the global mining industry. That would require an insane amount of capital. I think insane is the right word for this. A big chunk of money. And now we are past the first stage of proven technology and so on and so forth. We are now talking about scaling and moving international. So we will require capital. This means that we will have to have a couple of refinancing rounds. And obviously that will be a package of finance solutions, everything from equity, obviously that's a core component, but also debt and other type of financing. So not to answer you directly, but you can understand the sentiment of what you said.
Yeah, right on. Okay, thanks so much.
Great. Thank you, David. Questions from anybody else on the line? Lisa, please go ahead.
Hi, all. Just what portion of emissions at a mining operation relates to explosives? Just to get a sense, I always thought, diesel was the big thing. Thanks.
Maybe I can start answering, and Thomas, you can add. I think it's a very interesting discussion that we had even as recently as this morning, taking some of the statistics apart. The biggest emission to the mining industry is actually the detonation process through blasting. Now, where it becomes interesting is, as I mentioned in one of my earlier elaborations, is that there's a direct proportion to how efficiently you blast that will make a difference to the downstream effect on the fuel emissions, for instance. So the more optimized you blast, the less fuel emissions you will anticipate through loading, hauling, and even milling and the process to the plant. Now, if you blast inefficiently, then it's probably less, or more emissions that would be emitted. So there is a direct proportion, but it is more than half of the emissions, the total emissions that we're talking about through both processes, meaning blasting and fuel emissions. I cannot give you a direct number, but just by maybe applying this technology with some rigorous blast optimization technologies that BME has to make sure that happens, we immediately can reduce the carbon emissions by half and more. Now, Thomas, you might want to add a little bit to that.
And obviously, there is a lot of ifs and buts to this question. I mean, every operation is different, but in general, we are looking at the operations where they use the most explosives, and those are open cut operations, large diameter holes, deep benches. And I'm actually surprised. As I said, every operation is different, but I was quite surprised at looking at the numbers. Now, what's important to understand is that when we're talking about carbon emissions, we should really talk about carbon equivalents, because the CO2 and the CO is just a component. For instance, methane, laughing gas, N2O, has a significantly bigger impact on greenhouse effects than carbon. Water steam is a greenhouse gas, for instance. So if you look at all of those gas components and you look at the de facto scope on emissions that you get from detonation, even in theoretical optimal conditions, is tremendous amounts. Now, if it's 30%, 40%, 50%, depends on your operation. But on the data I have seen, it's actually more than diesel and fuel. And it's not a little more, it's a lot more.
Right. Thanks, Thomas. Colleagues from the media, any further questions? Lisa, please go ahead.
Thanks. Sorry, I'm just taking liberty here, but excuse my ignorance, but hydrogen peroxide based emulsion yours doesn't seem to be the only one on the market. Is that right, Thomas? What sets yours apart? Thanks.
So there's been other entities that have been trying to put something on the market, but to my knowledge, we are the only ones that actually have something on the market. Research of hydrogen peroxide-based explosives is as old as the 1900s. But we are the only ones that actually been able to make an emulsion stable enough that is commercially viable, produce it, deliver it to the customer. So it depends on what you mean by being on the market. To me, being on the market is to have a solution where you can actually supply a product that can be used. The competitive space have communicated a lot that they're doing research and they're doing some trials. We're over that stage, way over that stage. We have the production capability, the supply capability, the delivery capability, and the understanding in the application. So I would say with confidence that we are the only player on the global market today.
Thanks, Thomas. David, another one from you.
Yeah, again, I just got a broad business question again. I don't know if Seelan's still on the line, or maybe Ralph, you can tackle it. But I just I'm interested in the role of BME going forward in Omnia. I mean, it was a major part of your 24 financial performance. I think it was the only division that had positive margins. Could you just comment on where you feel BME fits into the future of Omnia, and do you think Omnia will become sort of a mining dominant type of business going forward?
Hi, David. I'm still here. Apologies, I just turned everything off. I think that's a fascinating question, you're asking. And day after tomorrow, we're actually doing a capital markets day, which is going to answer a lot of how BME fits into Omnia and what we see as the future of the mining segment. In essence, our company started as an agribusiness and then diversified into mining and chemicals. And what we have seen is that the mining segment has grown internationally with a CAGR of over 30% over the last 5 years. And whilst our agri segment is strong and has got incredible assets in Africa and Australia, our mining business is incredibly globally competitive, and we have put a thrust of capital and bandwidth behind the mining business. I think what you're going to see in future years is Omnia being a much stronger mining business, having a lot more of its profits coming from that segment, and a lot more of our profits coming from the international side of mining. I think what is very clear to me, David, is that BME has demonstrated an absolute ability to win globally in the mining space, from its technology, its detonators, its emulsion, its people, its innovation, and its ability to add value to mines to ensure larger blasts, better fragmentation, more ESG compliant. And what we're sharing with you today is what we would call a revolution of the explosives market that we believe will be driven by Hypex Bio, and we're proud to be part of that going forward.
Just say a little bit more about the role of Hypex Bio then in BME in turn, in Omnia. I mean, do you then, if you disclose the value of the initial stake that you took, but if that's not disclosed, would you mind disclosing it? And just do you anticipate Hypex Bio becoming a big part of the BME business, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, Charmaine, and sorry for interjecting here. David, what we did is we disclosed two things. So we've got two, call it, relationships with Hypex Bio and Thomas. The one is a shareholding, where we've disclosed a circa 9-10% shareholding, which cost us roughly 200 million. But I think the more important part of our relationship is a exclusive distribution agreement and a partnership agreement where we've committed to work together with the entrepreneurial team of Hypex Bio to build out their product across the world in different spaces. So we have exclusivity to partner with them in certain regions, and a number of our customers, which will want more and more ESG compliant explosives into the future years and decades, will access that via BME and obviously via Hypex Bio. So we see two value streams. The one is the product innovation and technology, and the other is the equity investment.
Cool. Okay, thanks so much.
Thanks, Seelan. Lisa, do you have another question?
Yes, I just wanted to find out, why you've chosen to roll out in Canada first, and when will this product be available in South Africa? Thanks.
Ralph?
Yes, thank you for that question, Lisa. I think the main reason for prioritizing Canada is it is a market which is very close from an environmental perspective to Scandinavia and Europe. It is predominantly in the Ontario region where we have set up infrastructure, a underground market where this product has been proven through many projects already. It also has surface capabilities which need to be developed a little bit further. So the colder climate does help. There is some development to be done in hotter temperatures. We acknowledge that, but we also acknowledge that Thomas and his team are quite far along the road in those developments. Another reason for us being in Canada first is because we do have a Canadian partner who is the biggest civils and drill and blast company in Canada with major infrastructure. So we don't have to look for land, we don't have to look for infrastructure that could be supportive to rolling this out quite successfully and quite quickly in that market. Having said that, and maybe lastly, is that the Canadian mining market is specifically concerned about ammonia residues and nitrous residues in their underground workings, but also residues on the rock that they blast and residue in water. So they've got a very stringent regulatory environment where they're specifically looking at these residues, and we've got the solution for them.
Thank you, Ralph. Colleagues, are there any further questions? If there are not, I'm just going to thank you all for attending and thank you to the panel. And Ralph, can I hand over to you to make some closing remarks?
Yes, thank you so much, Charmaine. I just would like to repeat our purpose remains innovating to enhance life and together creating a greener future. That is the main purpose and driver of the Omnia Group and BME. I would like to thank you for your opportunity and your time to listen to us today. It is with great pleasure talking to you about the exciting times that are lying ahead for our company and for the market in general. Omnia mining segment is so much more than a commodity provider nowadays. As we hope we have demonstrated, we've got many enablers. We've got initiatives that really talk to the modernization era of the global mining industry. And with modernization era, I mean the automation, the digitization, the process optimization, ultimately leading to autonomy, but also to lead. We have many R&D initiatives, and we can break those down into product developments ourselves, as well as fundamental technology drivers. So we believe we are a massive contributor to ESG targets going further. I mentioned the renewable energy and the circular economy that we adhere to, but most importantly, as I said, the blast optimization and the contribution of Hypex Bio in addressing a lot of decarbonization and nitrous elements that are playing out currently and how to counter them. So I would like to thank you for your interest, showing interest, and please remain safe. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Ralph. Thank you, everybody. Remember, if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, and we'd be happy to chat to you further. Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.